I'm with Yasmine Pernie, the director of Stones Cry Out. Yasmine, what is the Stones Cry Out film about?
The Stones Cry Out is a movie, it's a documentary on the Palestinian Christians, but really it's the story of all the Palestinians. I focused on the Christians because I felt closer to them, but their story is really the same as everybody else. They suffered the same expulsions, they suffered the same home demolitions, they suffer and still continue to suffer. So there's really not much difference in the way they suffered from since 48.
And how did you come about making this film?
The film was born out of a very strong sadness. It was 2006. It was after the Israeli war with Lebanon, and Bethlehem was pretty desolate. I went there for an olive harvest festival, and shop after shop after shop was closed, and I really entered into a deep depression, sadness, and I thought, what is happening to the Christians? What is happening to Bethlehem is what I was, because that's where the highest concentration of Christians is. But at the time I didn't know it.
Yeah.
So.
And are there many Palestinian Christians in the Holy Land?
There are the numbers vary. There are about between 170 to 200,000 in all of historic Palestine, I call it, or the Holy Land. There are about 55,000 in the West Bank and 130,000 in Israel 48.
And what was the aim of the movie?
I think the aim of the movie was to actually tell the world that there are Christians here. Maybe we have forgotten that Jesus came from here, and he was Palestinian to some extent. I think he was a Palestinian, Jewish Palestinian. So his culture comes very much from here. This is his basis. This is his. When he talks about the parables, do you say parabole, in the Bible, it's very much related to the life that was here 2,000 years ago. But you sometimes can still see. You want me to repeat? No. That sometimes you still see. When you drive around the West Bank, you still see the shepherds with the sheep, the houses in Taiba, if you go to Taiba, which is probably the only 100% Christian village left in the West Bank and Israel. And you still see the houses the way they were. People used to sleep upstairs, the cow used to be downstairs, the tools that they used. And so when you read the Bible, and you see these things, it makes it so much more closer, so much more connected. It's like history has a different realm. It's, things happen. The crusade, when you talk to Palestinians, all of them, Christians or Muslims, the crusades happened yesterday. Everything is, history, time is so much more relative here. Yeah. And for me, being in the land and being in the same places where Jesus was very emotional for me, and that's what triggered the film.
And who did you interview in the film?
In the film, I interviewed a lot of people, but I think the main characters are Elias Shakur, who is the Archbishop of the Galilee, the old patriarch Michel Sabah, Hanan Ashrawi, Gabi Baramke, who was the late, he died, a few people died making the film. Yes, because they're old, and you have to collect their stories because they're going. And he was the late president of Birzeit University. And then ordinary people. Claire Anastas, who has her house surrounded on 3 sides by the wall. People who witnessed, the film starts in the Galilee. And it starts with the story of Kfar Baram, which is a village which is 4 kilometers from Lebanon. It was a Christian village. And they, one after the other, the old people tell the story, so you can trace their story through their narration. And I think it's important to collect their stories because young people forget.
Yeah. And what difficulties do Palestinian Christians face today?
Palestinian Christians face the same problems as all the other Palestinians. I think that the wall is a huge problem, especially because Bethlehem is a small area, and a great percentage of Christians live The Christian Palestinians suffer the same as all the other Palestinians. There's really no distinction, because the main difficulty is the wall and the checkpoints and the segregated roads. And to go through that checkpoint every morning is really hard. And for people to work in, for example, in Ramallah and live in Bethlehem, they have to go through a street called Wadi Nar, which is really pretty horrible, I heard. I'm not allowed on this road. Apparently it's only for Palestinians. According to several studies, the Christians say that their biggest problem, the reason why they are leaving mainly, is because of the occupation. But if you are in Bethlehem for long enough, you start feeling really claustrophobic. I was there for a week once for a conference, and it felt like I was missing the air. The horizon is closed.
And why did you make the film?
I made the film because I would like the West, Italy, the rest of Europe, America, to know that there are Christians still living here. They want peace. I think the majority of Palestinians that I've lived here for 3 years, the majority of the Palestinians I have spoken to want peace. They really would like to have a normal life. They would like to get on with their, build a house, educate their children, have what every parent wants. Yeah. There's a job, get married, have a house, have children, and the cycle continues.
Yeah. And what did you learn from making the movie?
At first, what struck me was how important the Christians were in Palestinian society before 48, and even now with their I think they're leaders in the non-violent protests and in the peaceful protests, peaceful resistance, trying to let the story be known, but without the violence. And that's why the first Intifada was so popular. It was a popular uprising. It had Christians and Muslims together. And then the second became more divided on religious fronts and violent. And so the Christians didn't feel so part of the second Intifada.
Now, is the film aimed at awareness for locals, or is it local Palestinians, or for a Western audience?
My thought was the West. When I made the film was let the West know that there are Palestinian Christians here and what they had to go through. And it's really telling the story of everybody, because sometimes there is a lot of propaganda. The news focuses a lot on violence, on terrorism, which is an unfortunate thing. I'm not debating that. But there is also a lot of desire to live in peace. And this is sometimes the news does not cover. And that's what I wanted to show.
Yeah. Do you think there's hope for the future for the Palestinian Christian community?
I am positive. I want to be positive, yes. I think there is hope for the Christians. I hope, I see this as a film of peace, because I would like the Israelis also to see this part of the story that often they don't know. Because what they are taught in school is a different story. Yeah. And I would like them to see the film, and I would like outside to see the film, because I really hope that by being together, if there is the desire to live together, then it's possible.
Now you have a website for people who'd like to see more about this. What's your website address?
Yeah, the website is www.thestonescryoutmovie.com, and there you can see a little bit of the trailer.
And what's your prayer finally for Palestinian Christians here in the Holy Land?
I pray that peace will come and that finally they can all live together, Christian, Muslims and Jews.
Okay, Yasmine, thank you very much.
Thank you.